As we covered in our video on Vyuhas, the Chakravyuha was not a static array of concentric circles. It was a dynamic labyrinth that typically consisted of 7 layers. Each of these layers was a mixed formation comprising of elephants, cavalry, infantry, chariots, and archers. While the Mahabharata itself doesn't specify all dimensions, later texts like the Arthashastra give us some insight into the typical spacing and composition of these layers. The purpose of Chakravyuha was high value target capture or HVT. Acharya Drona set this up on day 13 of the war to capture Yudhishthira and end the war. The entire formation changed shape with pre-designated gaps opening and closing in response to the signals, the beat of drums, the blow of conches, and the waving of flags, with a single purpose: bring the target to the center. This required continuous real-time command and control or C2 by someone of Acharya Drona's caliber. That is why he was positioned in the chariot at the center of the formation, allowing him to personally intervene or quickly reposition. It is likely that he relied on elephant-mounted scouts to gain elevation and monitor breaches across the 7 layers to ensure that the trap functioned as a coordinated adaptive whole. Crucially, unlike the other formations, the strongest warriors on the Kaurava side were not a part of any of these layers. They acted as mobile counter-attacking elements, manning specific high-mobility zones within the spiral. This gave them the freedom to instantly converge on the trapped target from multiple directions, causing immense simultaneous damage. From the Pandava perspective, the main challenge with the Chakravyuha is its redundancy and unpredictability. Breaking into the formation itself was a staggering feat. It meant facing a dense, mixed-force defensive perimeter that resisted intruders with its full might. So to break in, a warrior needs to be able to create a hole in this perimeter large enough for them to enter. And even if they managed to create a hole, it was quickly closed by soldiers on either side of that layer, and some from the next layer if necessary. In a standard Vyuha, success is clear, but with the Chakravyuha, success is often a deception. When an attacker sees a weakness and pushes through, like Pac-Man engulfing them gradually, the Vyuha opens one gate, closing the one behind them, gradually pushing them to its center. Breaking out of the Vyuha is devastatingly harder. As the attacker progresses, the gates snap shut behind them, isolating them and forcing them to fight on all sides against an organized surrounding force. Once a target is secured, the formation can open and exit at the back and close entirely, preventing any attempted rescue. In case of Abhimanyu, because he was not the intended target, the Vyuha quickly turned into a death trap. That is the level of flexibility it had. Now let's think through a few hypothetical scenarios. Is it possible to bypass the Vyuha altogether? Not easily. The Vyuha can move forward as a whole to engulf the intended target, regardless of their retreat strategy. Likewise, attempting to bypass or flee any Vyuha leaves the retreating army exposed on its flank and rear to the enemy army not forming the Vyuha. So a retreat can delay capture, but the overall sacrifice is too great. But what if the Pandavas use some powerful astra like the Brahmastra to destroy the Vyuha? 3 main problems. Arjuna wasn't around, and he was the one most well versed with these astras. Second, many Kaurava warriors including Acharya Drona, Ashwatthama and Karna were well versed in these astras too, and using an astra first will lead to an immediate escalation that is hard to counter. Lastly, using powerful astras on common soldiers who cannot counter them was considered shameful and unethical. Drona himself was reprimanded later on in the war for using the Brahmastra on the Pandava army. If the Vyuha was so powerful, why wasn't it used multiple times like the Garuda Vyuha, for example? Because it didn't make sense from a military economics perspective. The Chakravyuha is a high-cost, high-risk, specialized weapon, and its deployment was super effective because it was a shock, a wow factor for an enemy who had only discussed it theoretically. So repeating it didn't make sense. Now let's address a couple of myths surrounding the Vyuha. First, the soldiers in the Vyuha did not run around in circles. Imagine having to do that in scorching sun for the whole day. The soldiers would have fainted from sheer motion sickness and fatigue. Second, the warriors didn't get better as you went deeper into the Vyuha. That would have made the outer rings almost redundant. The layers of the formation were deliberately mixed with elephants, cavalry, archers, chariots, and infantry to ensure specialized defense at every depth, and the mobile Maharathis were guarding strategic portions of the Vyuha, allowing them to gang up on any powerful intruders instead of waiting for their lair to be breached. In fact, the warriors ganging up on young Abhimanyu and killing him when he was unarmed was the turning point that led to more and more battle rules being broken on both sides. So was the Vyuha unbreakable? Not really. But to break it, one cannot rely on brute force. The required skill set is astronomical. Exceptional archery for simultaneous Maharati threats, a vast array of astras for widespread disarray, a charioteer capable of navigating the chaos with extreme speed, and this points to one team only on the Pandava side, Arjuna and Krishna. And it highlights why no one else, not the mighty Bhima, not Yudhishthira, and ultimately not Veera Abhimanyu, could completely dismantle it, especially with key commanders like Jayadratha blocking the critical entry points. We believe we have captured all the relevant strategic and historical aspects of this magnificent formation, but the world of ancient warfare holds endless details. Did we miss any special facts? Do you want to know more about any specific aspects of this Vyuha or the Mahabharata? Share your strategic insights and thoughts in the comments below. If you appreciated this deep dive into the military history of Mahabharata, please like this video, share it with a fellow war historian, and subscribe for more analytical breakdowns. Thank you for watching.